Alrighty. Howdy Neighbors, and welcome back to Fault Milestone One. Last time we entered this man's brain, and then we found out that they tried to work with the church, it didn't quite work out, lots of shit happened. And then I was starting to figure out the fact that the little sister Rune was kind of a dick. I was at sincere loss for words. Just what could possibly have driven Rune to do all that? At just 10 years of age, we had heard that she was a problem child of sorts. No, this is far beyond that. The devil's spawn. She certainly does live up to that nickname. What was her motive? There must have been something that pushed her to do that, right? We couldn't find anything like that. Rune had an abnormality in the brain, you see. A portion of her brain wasn't working. Even if she was able to understand emotions like happiness, sadness, and anger, she could not feel them herself. She did not feel fear or guilt, nor was she able to develop a sense of compassion. But could someone have developed such destructive tendencies simply because of the lack of emotion? I don't know. Maybe Rune was special. But at this point, there's no way for us to find out. Sorry to interrupt, but I finished the connection. Are you alright, Delphine? Look a little pale there. Yes. Do we continue from earlier? Yes. Alright. Here on. This'll be about the Svits? Yeah, Svits siblings. Now I have to warn you. It's going to be rather disturbing. Are you sure you want to keep going? We are. Gib. A few years had passed since Sid spoke with the priest. The number of Hive's victims continued to multiply drastically. Then one day, someone from within the church came across the evidence exposing the collusion between the government, Hives, and the World of Science. That was a clincher. A fissure formed in a long-standing relationship with the church and the government, leading to an agreement between Svits and the church. The energy industry versus the government versus the church. The level of discord among the three parties was truly unprecedented. In the midst of all that, Rudo was immersed in his studies daily, both in the academy and at home, in preparation for becoming Svits Enterprises' next president. Like his father, he also had a strong interest in mana, and didn't have any difficulty studying. Rudo simply loved to learn. I remember him often telling Aline that he was bored by the lessons at the academy. However, Rudo, intelligent as he is, had one big concern: his little sister Rune. At the time, Rune had behavioral issues. She always had a frown on her face, and the only time she ever smiled was when people got hurt. Everything she did had some trace of malintent to it. Whatever her actions were, they were always to cause people problems. One day, Rune finally did something that put the final nail in the coffin. Oh yeah. Rune stabbed the Griquali's family's son's eye with a stick, causing him to lose it. The whole incident with the oh my god. Griquali's. No. Griquali's? I really don't. I can't. What a mess. No kidding. I wonder, what caused Rune to do that? Was she not satisfied with something? I don't know. Aline, she's just heartbroken. On the outside she puts on a smile and says she's fine, but she's starving herself and her body's just... That's terrible. I feel sorry for Rudo as well. Hope he isn't getting shamed or mistreated in school. This might be a good opportunity for him. Maybe it's about time. Age-wise, too, sounds about right. He's lost his own thoughts, huh? After the Crowley's incident, Rudo had to stop attending school. The reason was never said out loud, but it was obvious. Rudo was just around 10 years old when he began to work as a trainee in Svitz. He studied daily in Lab 9, said to be the very best in the industry for producing top researchers. It started becoming more and more introverted. I think about it. It must have been tough for him. As a child, Rudo was somewhat lacking in imagination. To be blunt, he wasn't fit to be a researcher. Both I and the other members of the lab thought so. Rudo truly had a talent for learning. However, he had difficulties coming up with anything new that was outside of what was taught to him. They were expecting him to have an energetic imagination, just as Sid did when he was young, but unfortunately, it was all for naught. On the other hand, he was very careful not to offend people with his words or actions. He was very considerate to others. As time passed, everyone around him slowly came to see him as someone who couldn't succeed Sid. A few years after Rudo began working in Lab 9, Rune's house arrest, the consequence of the Crowley's incident, was lifted. Rune was often brought by her home tutor to visit the lab. As time passed, it became clear. Though Rudo was said to be a prodigy for his aptitude for learning, Rune greatly exceeded his capabilities. Just a few months after Rune started to take trips to Lab 9, he was able to answer the unsolved battery problems that have been plaguing the sisters' machines for years. Everyone was speechless. It was then that I saw a glimpse of Sid's inventiveness and creativity. No, he trivially solved a problem that Sid himself couldn't. Probably everyone in the lab thought that she would surpass Sid as a researcher someday. Rudo began to slowly lose confidence in himself. Even after things calmed down from the Crowley's incident, and he began to get along with Rune, Rudo was lost, didn't know what to do. It was written all over his face. Eventually, Rudo only did administrative work in the lab. It seemed to have dawned on him that he couldn't compete with Rune. And even then, Rune joined in the administrative work just as an assistant and took his job away from him. Sometimes it looked as if Rune was deliberately driving Rudo up the wall psychologically. There was a slight air of hostility to it. No, hostility isn't the right word. There didn't seem to be any motive to it. From an outsider's perspective, it was just a little sister helping out her older brother, nothing more. Whether it was intentional or not, a normal person wouldn't have noticed. One day, Sid and Eileen came to me for advice. Look, I'm not against sending her off to school, but I just don't see the point. I've heard you already, Sid. I want to hear what Elvis has to say on the matter. Hey Elvis, what do you think? Can I have your honest opinion? Should Rune go to school, or... I don't see any problem with that. 6 whole years have passed since the incident with the Crowley's boy. That's not the point. She's been sitting at Lab 9 all this time. Wouldn't you expect her to pick... Oh, God, what are words? What do you expect her to pick up at school? I think it's a waste of time. I'm not referring to her studies. We need to reintroduce her to society. She doesn't even have anyone her age that she can call a friend. We need to at least try to let her live a normal life. And just who exactly determines what's normal and what isn't? I agree with Elvis. Rather than holding her up in a dim laboratory, I'd rather she live and behave more like the young lady that she is. It's surprising to hear that from you, Eileen, considering how insistent you are about her education. Of course, she still has to maintain her studies. However, I don't think we're pushing Rune far too hard in that direction. She may look perfectly comfortable with how she is now, but I think she needs time to interact with other children her age as well. You really don't share that opinion, Sid. If you're asking me for my personal opinion, I don't think people's skills are all they're cracked up to be. If she keeps at that work, she's gonna end up picking them off, whether she likes it or not. I swear, why is this man just so... Said you really should think about your abilities a little more. Your standards are well and far removed from what is considered as normal. Well, all that aside, my final decision is to let Rune choose what she wants to do. I don't plan to rob her of the ability to choose. She's got the right to. Ah ha ha. I knew it. Do you agree with him then, Albus? I do. Considering Rune's age, it really should be the both of you making the final decision. I certainly agree with respecting her opinion as well. Well, I'll go have Rune undergo a physical examination. I'll let the hospital know too. Thank you, Albus, really. I hope Rune appreciates the sentiment. Sentiment! God damn it. It was a few weeks after that. It was before Rune was enrolled in the academy. He had a physical exam done in the lab. Using the MRI device that Sid developed to examine Rune's brain. What the... Is the machine malfunctioning? No, that's impossible. Vothel! We just conducted maintenance on it yesterday. It's calibrated just right too. Can't be a problem with the machine. Elvis, you saw Rune's scans, right? There are too many consonants in a row for me to read. For Nidzish. Is this even possible? She can't feel any emotion. It's absurd. A human like this couldn't exist. Don't tell anyone about this. Nidzish. Vothel. Eileen's in an especially sensitive time right now. The timing is right, and we should tell Sid. The portion of Rune's brain which controlled human emotions was non-functional. What exactly this meant, none of the members of the lab, nor I, knew at the time. While concealing Rune's name, we asked other staff in the Medica, but not a single person even knew of the condition. It was obvious that something was wrong. MRI stuff is still a new young technology. However, the very first person to respond to this was Rudo. Rudo clearly knew something that we didn't. It was a few months after Rune was admitted to the academy that he revealed it to us. What's this book? Lie Spotting. It's a book about the psychological nature of lies and how to detect them. Oh, Alvis. Good morning, Rudo. I have to talk with you. What's the matter? Rudo's story came out of nowhere. We're just killing small animals at the park nearby. Honestly, it sounded so absurd that I couldn't believe what he told me. Ever since the Groqualis incident, Rudo had grown up to be a good girl. Deep in my heart, I harbored a small doubt. What if Rudo was using that brain scan as a pretense so we can get revenge on Rune? He had more than enough reason and motive to do so. Against the gentle Rune, Rudo must have felt desperate, given their positions. I don't expect you to believe it, though. How do I even react? Have you told Sid or Eileen? No, well, not directly. I kind of played it off, saying Rune might be up to something bad again. If I didn't, I'm sure Mom would get hurt again. I see. The only other person I could talk to about this is you, Albus. Sorry, Rudo, but I think the only thing you can do for now is keep an eye on the situation. If I could do anything to help, I'd be more than happy to. But right now, even if with everything you told me is true, there's still not enough justification to take action right now. If I brought up the topic saying that I heard everything from you, if they decide to ignore it, then that'll be the end of it. You're right. By the way, what is this book for? Is it for taking measures against Rune? Yes. Rudo, do you think Rune is a chronic liar? I'm not sure. But Room displays far too many tendencies that are described in this book. Such as, for example, people who lie habitually are very capricious by nature. They hate staying in a single place. Once they get bored of things, they head elsewhere. Now they mentioned it. She did say that she wanted to see the outside world. It's not just that. They're always smiling. But it's not only in their mouth that's in a smile, but their eyes remain expressionless. Whenever you talk with them, they end up looking at you straight in the eye too much. There are a lot of people in and around town who haven't accepted Rune. When I asked them why exactly, they told me they couldn't on a biological level. I think it's an instinctive repulsion to her behavior. It doesn't matter whether the person in question is an older child. When they have something that feels foreign to us, then they become a target of fear and alienation. I think Rune already knows that she's causing people to feel disgusted at her, and is intentionally behaving that way. More than that. Rudo? I'm sure Rune is planning something. She's building up her knowledge so she could trick us. There's gotta be something she has planned. Something much worse than the Kripali's incident. Wait just a minute there, Rudo. Why do you jump to conclusions here? She's been such a good girl this whole time. Now, I'm not going to completely ignore what you're saying, but as an adult, I have an obligation to look at everything fairly and impartially. I'm sorry. I may have said too much. I wasn't exaggerating. Even now, I still remember that conversation clear as day. I paid no attention to Rudo's warning. It was the greatest mistake I'd ever made in my life. A few weeks after that, Aline collapsed. Several days after that, 12 of the top brass from Svitz's business partners all died from Process 1 poisoning. Rune disappeared from the mansion, and a few days after that, a transport ship arrives in the outer pole. Rune's body is found on board. A few weeks later, Aline breathes her last while in Svitz Medka. Those events consistently play themselves back in my mind over and over and over. From that point forward, Svitz began to collapse in on itself. Sid, having faced no greater calamity than this, was broken. Even though he had endured all the trials and difficulties of his past, Sid just completely broke down. He wouldn't even listen to me or Rudo. His work at the company went practically untouched. Instead, he held himself inside a Lab 9 and barred anyone else entry. It was on one of those days. It was just as the Sisters project was approaching completion. In the end, the church refused to make use of the Sisters, but the frames that were built were repurposed to work in the mana mines instead. During the meeting to discuss where the Sisters would be deployed, Sid suddenly showed up. What? You want to pay the Sisters for their work? That's right, I want their service compensated. What brought this on? Why? We're just barely scraping by as is. Why should we pay machines of all things? Because that's an order. Anyone who objects is fired, end of story. Sir Sid. Kirky? Are you serious, sir? Well, you guys deal with that then. Wait a minute, Sid. This is an abuse of power. Tell us why. We'll listen to you. What the hell do I have to explain every single damn thing I have to say? Even I took the time to explain it. You're all just a bunch of idiots who want to understand, so I don't even bother. All you need to do is just follow what I say, like the servants you are. What a dick. What's the matter with you, Sid? If all these people weren't here with you, Spitz might as well have never existed. Who's the one that holds the power? Me. I don't need to take any smack from people without any vision. What the hell? You just abandon your job like that. Do you have any idea how deep in danger the company is in right now? What did you say, boy? Oh, hell yeah, Fist! Open your damn eyes, senile old man. Your job as the CEO of the company is to reassure everyone working here. Did you forget that? What the hell happened to your sense of right and wrong, your morals? Wait, this week that you can't even stick up for them, now that your wife is gone? You're just spouting some pretty big words. Someone who isn't even half a man, huh, Rudo? Get a grip, Dad. With how things are right now, I don't need damn sympathy from the likes of you, freaking kid. I'll just pretend to run the company for all I care. This is my company. I built it from the ground up. And I can raise it from the ground if I damn well please. Now you better follow my orders. And anyone that gets in the way of my research. Hello? What the fuck is this? I don't know if he's having a heart attack or what. He's vomiting blood. Okay, thank you. Hey Sid, are you alright? Don't touch me. Sir Sid. Heh. Damn it. That night I was called by Rudo. Just who exactly is Rudo Svitz? Come again? This morning, when I looked in the mirror, I saw a man I did not know. The man didn't have a shred of sadness in him when his little sister passed away. In fact, I'm feeling nothing but relief. Rudo. My little sister should have never been born. She should have just hit her head against something and died when she was young. Now I'm finally free. Such were the man's sad, heartless thoughts. Now Albus. If the Rudo Svitz you know, the kind of young man that would harbor those thoughts. Was he a person with such a warped heart that he would instead rejoice in his sister's death rather than mourn it? However, there's something I owe my gratitude to that thing for. The devil in disguise taught me one thing and one thing only. That people are always controlled by their emotions. In this era, what we need are logic and rationality. The only people who have the right to talk about emotions and sympathy are those who have thoroughly pursued logic and rationality. My father was unable to do that. He's a weak man who tried to devote himself to some sorry hues of philanthropy, but couldn't even follow through all the way. Rudo. There are far too many barriers in this world. Sid Svitz has been taken over by madness. His time is over. From now on, I shall lead Svitz. I have the power to. That day, the dam that had been holding Rudo back finally broke. Its growth since then was incredible. The kind where Rudo was nowhere to be found. He had truly changed as a person. Although he was just mediocre in terms of research, his track record and management easily dwarfed Sid's. Rudo put forward an avant-garde plan to save Svitz. In order to deal with the mass murder that one committed, he established a corporate system. By taking in outside investors as members of the company's board of directors, he succeeded in changing the company's image from a family business to a corporation. Qualies. Rudo, why wasn't I prepared to see it here? Well, no. Your seat certainly has been prepared, Mr. Qualies. Because I demanded for one, that's why. You don't tell me you've forgotten what your sister has done. Into that girl, I lost my family and my life has been ruined. Your father seems to have understood the circumstances. What about you? Don't tell me just because you've taken his place, you consider the past all water under the bridge, do you? For the love of... Father has gone completely insane. The son freely abuses his position, and the daughter is a damn murderer. So what is wrong with your family, huh? I've been working in this company for 10 years. And if you don't treat me accordingly, You better watch out, you little punk. Aqualius, did you just... I see. If I don't do accordingly, I'd better watch out. Is it? My. You should have quite a head on those shoulders. Wait, you just... Little kid, just try to say that again. Mr. Aqualius. Do you understand the situation that you're in? I'm just gonna put my hand out. Say, hey girl. Right now, you're dancing on the stage, front and center. And I guess we're putting the hand away. Well, I don't know what that was for. Listen, this company, you are nothing but a persistent little stain on the glass window. Leaving you on or wiping you off, there's no real difference. However, the more it stands out, the more of an eyesore it becomes. Don't worry, Mr. Aqualius. No need to flounder about like that. Haven't gotten... What? Remunerations? Both your one-night son and your wife. You should really consider yourself a success in life. You can relax and let that fat belly of yours hang out as you enjoy your life to the fullest. Why, you son of a... If some talentless burden like you even thinks of trying something, I'll have you swept out like the garbage that you are. Why, you... Who do you think you are, you son of a bitch? I don't have to take abuse from little shit like you. And then it's the same thing, but written slightly different, son of a bitch. Don't think I'm gonna take this laying down. I'm gonna whittle you down to goddamn bones, mark my words. He says the scene change. Rudo, I can see what you're getting at. But don't you think you went a little too far back there? Too far, what do you mean? About Aqualius. He's nothing to concern yourself over, Albus. More importantly, they've become a publicity-traded company. There are far bigger things to worry about, beyond Aqualius. The problems are only about to start. Just as Rudo said, we had lost a great number of excellent employees. However, we have gained as many talented young employees. With the passage of each year, Rudo continues to rescue Spitz from the brink of closure. A company full of warmth that Sid and Aline had once protected, now changed into an efficient system. Spitz grew to many times the size since Sid had first established it. It had even recovered to the point where it could trade blows with hives. But a system of corporations and stocks planted the idea of investing even among the common layman. It created an interest in business as a whole. Thanks to that, Hives found it difficult to get by on just marketing alone. Since then, Hives and Spitz have been competing primarily on the technological front. Sisters, subjects, medica, energy, pharmaceuticals, information technology. A new era of mana dawned on the outer pole. The people of the inner pole could no longer look down upon us. I believe we were able to build up an equally respectable level of technology. It was then. Hertzman! What is up, my guy? An appointment? What do you mean I need an appointment? Well, it's company policy. Oh, come on, miss. Don't be such a hard ass. I just want to talk to him for a couple minutes. Well, it hurts. Yo, Albus, perfect timing. Riley, forget about him. I'll deal with this. Yes, sir. What the heck happened? Everything's gotten all by the book over here now. The direction of the company has changed and all. Time's changing. Change, huh? I hate it. Hate it, I tell you. Everyone's trying to be a goody two-shoes now. There's a point of following the times over and over like that. It's been never changed, do you? But really, why didn't you just tell her your name? You could have just said the name of Aqualius. and she would have easily passed you through to your uncle. Oh! Uncle? The hell? Stop it, man. Just thinking about how me and that guy are actually related is depressing. Duly noted. Has your dad still not reconciled with... What do you mean? Oh, with me or my uncle? Your uncle. Insane. I suppose when one of them kicks the bucket, they will probably show up at the funeral. My dad took Marcus in and cared for him like he was his own son. Whatever happened in their place is none of our business, but my uncles let the money get to his head a little too much. If filthy rich and he doesn't give us a cent to help raise a kid. It hurts. Well, that's all in the past now. As long as he doesn't show his mug around me, and I ain't gonna do anything. Ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha. But it has been a while. Hearing the laugh of yours puts me at ease. And that's cause for someone like me, my laugh's my only selling point. And how are you doing lately, Albus? Looking more and more like an old fogey, I see. You would too if you had to deal with so much work. You need to stop playing businessmen and drop at the tavern once in a while. Tristan and Rudo's got a lot on their plates, but you need to breathe once in a while. That is true. By the way, what brings you here today? Oh yeah, that's right. Since stop putting orders for clothes all of a sudden. You always have me work on some at least once every half a year. But we haven't met for a whole year now. I decided to just drop by and pay a visit. Look at the look of yours. Something happened? Hurts. Sid's not doing very well right now. He's been like that ever since Eileen and Rune passed away. Held him in the lab, working on who knows what, like a man possessed. Who knows what? Does that work? He isn't even in the right condition to do any work now. He just refuses to listen to anyone. And when he talks, he either gives some nonsense order or says something outrageous. Rudo's taking the reins and is leading his fits now. Rudo is. That's amazing. That sure little kid's taking over. You might not even recognize who he is if you met him, Hurts. Rudo's completely changed. Actually, ever since the incident with Rune, everything's changed. That's so. Hey, let me with Sid. You should just leave him alone for now. Come on, it's fine. If he's busy with work, then I think twice, but if he's just twiddling his thumbs, then it's a different story. It's a lot more serious than that. Serious? That's just what you think. Hurts. It's just what you think. But you haven't seen what Sid's like now. And how do you think I'm gonna see if you won't let me? Hurts. Look here, Albus. My whole entire life, Sid's the toughest son of a bitch I've ever known. He's always stuck to his guns, no matter whatever life threw at him. And you're telling me he's broken down? Which means he needs a little tune-up is all. I'll slap some sense into him. Alright, but you better not regret this. Hi. I'm gonna go ahead and end the episode here because I have many concerns as to where this is gonna go. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you later.